Okay, so we're back. The fire alarm tried to disrupt us, but we're going to keep talking here. I was just about to ask Na a question. You were saying that Confucianism has, you feel like it's kind of played a large role. Confucianism puts a lot of focus on men and not as much on women. Do you feel like that maybe Confucianism has a larger influence in your part of Vietnam because you're closer to China and that's what some of the research I've been looking at says that northern Vietnam tends to have a stronger emphasis on this more patriarchal, male-dominated focus than the South.
That's true. I think so too because um, I don't think that until the 15th or 16th or 17th century that people start from the north started coming to the south and kind of like cultivate the land and like make their lives in there. And also there in the south there are more people from Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. So they will have different I don't know how to say, like they are less influenced by Confucianism than people in the north.
Because one thing I've been finding too, it's interesting. Vietnamese women have had a long history in Vietnam of, especially in the more rural areas and in the South, of having quite a bit of freedom and equality between that. I know that you guys have a really famous two sisters, the Trung sisters. I don't know how to pronounce that.
That's
The
correct.
Trung
Yeah,
sisters
Trung
who
sister.
led like the first rebellion against the Chinese thousands of years ago. And again, what I've been looking at is that for thousands of years, Vietnamese women have been part of rebel groups that have been trying to push out invaders coming into Vietnam, even into the Vietnam American War, and afterwards, that women have had a pretty strong military presence.
Yep.
Is that something? I mean, you would say that
That's
you agree
true.
with that?
Yeah, we have female heroes, or you can call heroines, but I don't think people really how to say, like really value.
Okay.
I don't say really value, but we do listen to those stories. We really admire them. However, for some reason, I don't feel like their roles were really valued as they are supposed to be.
Okay.
And also, one thing about the Vietnamese women during the war that I noticed, and I heard from people or I read from articles that they say, Ho Chi Minh, the president, when he valued and when he encouraged women to have better roles in the country, he said Vietnamese women are good at both inside and outside the family. At that point, when I was more, I really think that it's a very good like compliment, and it encouraged women to work harder or to work better and to be happy with their life or something like this. But now I see some people have a different view on that. They say that accidentally or intentionally, the president already put women under pressure of the fact that they have to do good. They have to do well both outside and inside the family. They don't have choice, but if they want to be considered a good woman, they have to do good both inside and outside the family.
Kind of like what your mom was feeling. This pressure to, she has to work outside the family, but then also make sure she's back home and taking care of her husband and you and your... Do you have just one brother or do you have other siblings?
I have one brother and one sister.
Okay. Okay. Are they older or younger than you?
Yeah, they're both older than me. Much older. Yeah.
Much older, okay. Well, that is very interesting. That was a piece of information I was not aware of. One of the things that has also come up in what I've been looking at, but it was saying that during, and now I've been trying to figure out the correct way to say this. Is it Doi Moi? What's the
Đổi mới.
Doi Moi?
Yeah.
You kind of on the
Yeah.
top. Okay,
Yeah.
Doi Moi
Yes.
for all you guys listening. It was saying that it gave women some more opportunities to start businesses and whatnot because you had more money coming into the country. There was a greater chance for education, and but that brought about its own kind of conflict between men and women because you saw women going to jobs where men had previously been the only kind of people in those. Doctors, more in politics, even like heavy industry and whatnot. Well, all of a sudden you have women who are very qualified for this. I know that women in Vietnam are actually have a very high education rate. And that men started feeling kind of threatened by that.
That's true.
Okay, can you tell me some about that?
I don't know, but I heard so many stories, or I read so many stories about the wife being so successful in their career, and they received abuse from their husband, or they have a lot of difficulties in their family life because their husband feel like they are less than the women, or they are influenced by their peers because men in Vietnam often drink a lot on the street, like they have restaurants, and during such kind of drinking, when they sit with their friends can mock them on having a successful wife, and they say like, okay, you lose your face because you are less than you are worse than her or something like this. So for some reason, even the guys in my country, like those who know me, sometimes they still ask me like, do you ever consider the fact that because you are too good, no guys would ever want to marry you or something like this? They even ask me that kind of question right now when we're really in a different generation and we are influenced by Western culture and such kind of things. Men in Vietnam are still influenced by such idea.
Wow. And these are men that are your age?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So I was like, really?
Yeah.
So how come you guys say that, oh, I'm so modern, like I have new ideas about life, but you still consider women to have to be worse than men in order to get married? Then I don't want to get married to such kind of men, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's what I
Well,
say.
it's funny that you mentioned that. I heard this was another article I was reading where they were asking Vietnamese women, what's your thoughts about this? And it's funny, they've said a lot of the same things that you have. But one girl said, my friends tell me they would not marry a Vietnamese man. That they feel like there's too much pressure there and that they're not going to be appreciated for finding a successful job or wanting to stay home but also be kind of an independent person as well.
Yes.
Well, and what I've been kind of come to as a conclusion is that right now we don't really know where this is going to go. It's stuff is still changing so much in Vietnam, and Vietnam's still trying to kind of work through all these changes that it's been going through, that we don't really know anything other than that, men are feeling kind of threatened and they're being kind of unfair towards women, and women are trying to figure out, well, I mean, I'm Vietnamese, I could go and marry a guy from Myanmar or Thailand or something like that, but if Vietnamese guys don't shape up, they ain't gonna have any of these girls. But is there any conclusions that you've kind of reached about this?
I find that women, especially young women, at least at my age, are struggling between the traditions that they value and the freedom they want to obtain. Especially when Western culture came to Vietnam, and then we were raised with our traditional values, but at the same time we we are influenced by movies, entertainment, and like many women are getting way better and they study abroad and
Yeah.
they are influenced by new ideas, new concepts from Western countries. They are really being torn between the values that their families and somehow themselves value, and the things that they want to really have
Sure.
in life. And I think not only Vietnamese women, but also many women in the world has have to struggle between such kind of things, especially women that really have high capability to do things in life.
Yeah,
And-
like you're wanting to be a policymaker, and so your goal is in Vietnam. Is that the
Yeah.
hope? Okay, so get into political office and begin.
Well, yeah, at first I just want to start my own school,
Okay.
and because after experiencing Vietnamese education, I realized that there are still so many things to work on, and especially since I came here, I realized that there are a lot of things to work on about education in Vietnam, especially the education that doesn't really value the roles of the girls even at school,
Sure.
or they don't realize that they are teaching students the very old values that somehow dehumanize the girls and just put the guys in way up somewhere that they don't really deserve, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Certainly not above women. You know that just by being a guy doesn't mean automatically you get more.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen only in Vietnam though.
Yeah, which is an
It
interesting point
happens
to
in
make. America, we've had to
Yeah.
deal with that too. I know that World War II, a lot of guys went overseas to fight, and women filled in a lot of the roles, and they did a really good job at
Yes.
that. And then when the men came back, they're like, "Well, thanks a lot, sweetie. You know, get back to the kitchen." And
Exactly. Yes.
and women were like, well, wait a minute, no. And you'd had a feminist movement before that, it's particularly around the turn of the century, to get women the right to vote in our country. But it was after World War II that it seems you had a real push of, no, we've kind of had a taste of what it's like to be a bit more equal here, and we're not going to let that go. And you come into the 50s and the 60s, and feminist movement really took up
Yeah.
a lot of steam. And I guess that, I mean, it makes sense that that happens all over the world,
Yes.
particularly in countries where men have historically had a lot more privilege.
Yeah, I'm really curious how it's gonna work in the cultural environment like in Vietnam, when collectivism really is overpowers individualism, and also when the people are so influenced by the traditional values. Because I find it very interesting that in America and other European countries or Western countries in general, people really have a strong sense of themselves.
Yeah.
But that's not what we value in our culture. In our culture, we value the selflessness. Yes, selflessness.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
for the group.
Yeah, and you need to like always put family and community and society above yourself. But in here, people really care about themselves and how they feel, and they have very strong sense of independence, and they value that. So I really wonder how it's gonna work in Vietnam. Although I really want it to work out, and honestly, it is still working. It's still going on, but maybe people are kind of making a misunderstanding that feminism means women have to overpower men.
Right, okay. Yeah, please tell me about that.
But I myself find that feminism means that women fight the equal role with men in the society, and whatever men do, women can do the same thing. But even I find many of my friends who are girls never consider doing such kind of things. They don't, maybe they are not aware of that that things. They just want to have a normal life, I guess.
Yeah.
Or they just do not get enough information about feminism or things like this to really value themselves. They really depend on their boyfriends or their family and things like that. And I think as long as people still want to depend on someone else, then it's gonna be hard to make such kind of movement.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. And also, I mean, it makes sense that, I mean, even America being a very independent culture has had to push for years and years against this.
True.
And I can't imagine what it'd be like. I mean, Vietnam has been a culture, a civilization for
I
know
guess.
how many more thousands of years than America. At least our modern, like multicultural,
Yeah.
Western influenced America. So you guys have even more history and tradition to kind of
Yeah.
have to wrestle against. So, open up your own school, and you want to focus on kind of giving opportunities for women. Then,
I just want to. I don't know. I really want to open a school where students are given the chance or the opportunity to learn what they want in the way they want.
mm-hmm.
Because education is always influenced by politics and culture and
Sure.
tradition. And so far, the education in Vietnam somehow is very rigid and it's very old-fashioned, I
Mhm.
guess. And I really want to take the liberal arts model into school in Vietnam, and students can learn a variety of things that they want to learn.
You think that's going to be difficult for you?
Of course,
Mm-hmm.
as a woman,
Yeah.
of course, the very first thing people will look at me and say, "Oh, she's." Maybe by that time I will be 30-something years old,
Mhm.
and then say, "Oh, look at that girl! Or what she wants to do? Why don't she just get married and just
Yeah.
stay at home? And why does she want to do such things?" Also, I need to do like something relating to policy and politics,
Mm-hmm.
which is something very sensitive in Vietnam. And I honestly think in politics environment in Vietnam, women haven't got their deserving roles yet. They are there. There are women in there, but their voice are not listened to. No one
Okay.
really listens to them,
Okay.
and they just like, for example, we have certain roles for women, like vice president or the minister of some
Mhm.
ministries, but I don't really think that their voice are really heard.
Okay.
So
They have the position, but they don't really have a whole lot of power
the
with
power,
it to
yes.
do something.
Yes.
Okay, that's very. This has been very, very helpful. It's nice because it's what you said is really reaffirmed what I've been learning and looking at, and again, kind of what most people are saying is kind of what you did. They're not really sure where this is going to go. That things need to change, but there's a whole lot that's kind of
Yes.
keeping that from happening at the moment. But
Yeah.
what got you? How are you able to come to the States? What lets you be able to come to America, to Berea, to get an education, as opposed to that? Seems like that was something that you wanted to do and not
Yes.
just go to school in Vietnam.
That's true, because I went to a college in Vietnam, and then the education in there, I wasn't satisfied with the education I received at college in
Mhm.
Vietnam. And also, I was studying economics before, but then I realized that that's not what I want, and I really want to learn more about education, because I know that education is the thing that can change the generation, not only persons but generation.
Mhm.
And I know that good education will give freedom and liberty to not only individuals but also the society. So I decided to study education, but then at the same time I realized that I want to go to the States because of the liberal arts college model. I really enjoy it
Okay.
because I want to learn so many things, but people always have stereotypes in Vietnam that girls are supposed to be good at literature, history, geography, or something like this, and guys are good at math, science, and things. But I was good at science, and I said I don't care about proving myself that I can be good at something, but I want to learn more, and I don't want to limit myself in such limited fields. So I just decided that I will apply to Berea. And then my mom really objected to that, and I had to struggle a lot about that. And eventually, I was lucky that I got admitted to Berea, and then she eventually said yes, so I could get.
And that's something that's interesting. You said that your mom said yes, was because you mentioned this is something that I was talking with Gordon Gray about too. He said that women, while they are expected to they're at home, they have a tremendous amount of power within the household too, though, that women are the ones who are there in charge of the money. And I don't know if this applies for everyone, I'm sure it doesn't, but Gordon Gray was saying that women kind of give money to their husbands of okay, I'll take your paycheck and I'm going to make sure I'm going to take care of all the bills and you can have this and this is how much you can do to go and do what you want. But was that one of those things that it was more your mom who gave you the permission to go, or was this really just you were just talking about between you and her talking about it?
It's more about my personal life, because I have been always a very stubborn child in the family, and my parents could never argue with me whenever I decided to do something. So I just decided to do that, and I was lucky that my dad and my father, my sister really believed in my ability, and they supported me. My mom was just nervous, and she doesn't want me to live far away from her.
Oh, sure.
Because the tradition and also what they value is that let's bring the children around you, keep them around you. So that's more about that personal life rather than the mom having power over the family. Because honestly, in my family, my mom keeps the money. Whenever my dad gets the salary, he will give her, and she will take care of that to pay for everything. But I don't think she is the one who decides to really make the decision. Because sometimes my dad would say, let's spend the money on this, on that. Normally, he doesn't get involved in the decision making process because he just doesn't care.
Oh, okay. So it's much more of I'll just let my wife take care of that.
Yeah, I should not let it bother me because I have some bigger thing to care about. Maybe that's how they think. But whenever it's something big comes, my dad will be the one who decides. And whenever they argue or fight on something, my dad normally is the one who wins. So I don't think that women really has the tremendous power in the family. They just take care of the things that men doesn't care. That's how I think.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but maybe it's just my own experience. I'm not sure if it works in the other case, but that's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now this is last thing I'll pick your brain about. I appreciate you giving me the time. This was just one thing that Gordon Gray mentioned as a more of a recent phenomenon in Vietnam. And again, I don't think maybe it doesn't apply to large parts of people. It did say it was coming up that one of the things that men feeling kind of threatened about women kind of coming into their space and making more of a push for equality or liberty, is that a lot of men kind of turn to having mistresses on the side or something like that. He actually, in our class, he said that there's a thought in Vietnamese culture that you're not really considered a man unless you have a woman on the side in addition to your wife or whatnot. And I wasn't sure if that was something that you're familiar with or that you've heard talked about as an idea. He seemed to think that it was because men are okay, I can't really control, my wife or my sister or my daughter coming into the workplace and whatnot there, but I can control, what women I spend my time with and whatnot.
That's very interesting. I'm not sure about that, but I honestly think that not only Vietnamese men, but also universally men, universally speaking, men often consider having more than one sexual partner is something to prove their power, their manpower. That's what I think. I did explain it one time to the other people. That is my idea because many men in Vietnam, and recently on newspapers, the millionaires, they really value the virgins,
Okay.
and they even speak in public that I want to get married to a virgin, and it's ridiculous because they have been with so many women,
Yeah.
and eventually they want to get married with a virgin, and they devalue the women they have been with, which is ridiculous to
Yeah,
me.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like that's not cool at all. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you say that. All right, I want the best girl is the one that hasn't slept with any guy, but I don't care what I do. I'm not going to give a woman my best. I can just kind of share that around. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's something that I'm going to be looking into a little bit more. But yeah, I think that I kind of agree with you. I've heard that. It kind of breaks my heart a lot. I'm like, no, come on, guys. That's the one thing that I think that the social value system on women to be virgins until they're married. That's when I'm like, guys, you need to like start replicating that in women. Like that's, I've heard, it kind of makes me sad. I've heard some women that are like, well, fine, if men can sleep with whoever they want, well, I can too. And I'm like, no. It's the opposite way around. Guys got this one wrong. It's not good for them. It's not a power. It's not really a power thing. You're more
yeah,
it's a sad kind of
but
thing.
many women feel depressed by that.
Sure.
Because the women can prove their virginity.
That's good.
Yeah, it can be proven whether she is a virgin or not, but the man cannot.
Right.
And because he cannot be proven, so he can do whatever he wants with how many or whoever he wants to be with. And such things it's really troubling and annoying to me that many girls even develop themselves after losing their virginity to their boyfriends, and then their boyfriends look down on them since then. And the problem is women do not really value themselves, and they do not appreciate themselves. That is not what defines who they are. But they just consider that, okay, now my life is over because my boyfriend, the one I love, looks down on me, and I lost what I should value most in my life. That is not true. But I think it's also about the awareness of women about what is most important in their life. And again, it's influenced by the culture and the tradition that you have to be a good woman, and a good woman should be a virgin, and such kind of things. So yeah, and one ridiculous thing is that in China they even have contests to become the wife of the millionaire or the billionaire, and one of the very first route you have to pass is that you had a
You're
virgin.
still a virgin, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That-
It's like a game show kind of thing.
It's ridiculous, but yes. And then they even have they will measure their height and their beauty, and they will have a bonus if they have college degree and something like that. And that is really something that devalue women. That's what I think. But the problem is many women, I think thousands of women apply to such kind of contest. So that means they are not aware of their value. So I think feminism movement cannot start or be initiated if women do not have the new idea of what is important about themselves that they and the society need to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
No, thank you so much. You are. Gordon Gray said you need to talk to some of the Vietnamese girls on campus. He said they're fierce. You got to watch out. They are fighters, and I think it's right. This is really, thank you so much for giving me your time.
You're welcome.
This has been very, very helpful. And again, you don't mind if I use
Okay.
this for my thing? Thank
Yeah.
you. I will
Problem.
certainly send you a link or something if you want to see it. You can hear your voice and
Oh my
think that
God.
you're famous.
I hope
But,
that people can understand me there.
I think so. This is Jeff Ritchie's mainly going to be the one who's listening to this. So
Oh.
thank you so much, Miss. I appreciate it.